Allen Prestige large SUV. What have we got?
We've got a Genesis, David, a GV80, but this one doesn't have the luxury pack. The front of it has these fancy quad lights with the dual rows of daytime running lights. I think that's very classy. This sort of checkered grille, this crosshatch pattern grille, and I really do like this badge, the Aston Martin-esque badge. The side view, it still has that kind of, I don't know, imitation coupe look, do you think?
Yeah, it still looks a bit bulky. It's not as bad as, say, as the Bentley Bentayga or whatever, but it still does look a little bulky, and it uses features like this that you often see on Jaguars and others that, you know, I think enhance it, but it is a big SUV.
And these 22-inch wheels, to me, don't look like 22 inches, but they are, I assure you. Excuse the scrape, I did that yesterday. I'll just stand here so you can't see it. The locks, if you've got the key in your pocket, the locks unlock as you come towards the car.
Oh, yeah.
The back of the car, we've covered this before, so we're not going to do it in too much detail. It's got this nice sculpted effect, this bit of a scallop out of the middle.
The sloping line here, from a distance, it doesn't look big and bulky. It's not like the very worst example, which is the Grandvia from Toyota, which is just a big box.
Now that's because the back of this car is actually only this high, so it's only this height, it kind of comes down, but it does affect your luggage space just slightly. Unlocking the car is the button just below the windscreen wiper, which I quite like. In the back, there's still a way to put the second row seat down. It lacks the buttons, the electric buttons that come with the luxury pack.
When you've got the seats all up, there's not a lot of room. This is room that a small hatchback might just be proud enough of.
But it's enough room for some Coles bags. And in fact, you might even put these seats up when you're shopping so that your bags don't roll about in the car. But let's have a look inside, David. Now you can see we've put the back seats up. The seat back is fairly upright until you use the lever, which gives it a little bit of adjustment.
I feel a certain degree of specialness in the car.
Very much so, and I like this tan interior. There's a couple of other colours as well. The open pore wood, I think, looks great, and the touches of leather all over the place. There's lovely grills over the speakers. Because this isn't the luxury pack, you don't have the third zone of climate control. And you might also notice I've got my Navman plugged in here. And that's because I couldn't find a 12-volt outlet in front. The first thing you'll notice that there's airbags between the front passenger seats so that they're going to get protection from banging into each other.
Banging heads.
One of the many innovations. There's a dual layer for the center console, which I think is rather smart.
Oh,
yes. And the vents look like they go right along, but in fact this middle bit is just trim. But I like the touch and the feel. This is very luxurious. It just looks top notch. The steering wheel is electric. That means that you can get just the right amount of adjustment and store that as part of the memories. The dashboard is only part digital. It's the left-hand side is a conventional dial. The right-hand side is a LCD screen. So you'll notice whichever way you indicate, that's what comes up in the little picture on the right-hand side. This is one thing I like very much about this brand, and that is that you can have the air conditioning in automatic mode, but decide which pressure of air you want coming from the vents. There's a row of buttons here across the top, including a favourites button, and you can program any number of things onto that. There's also seat heating and cooling for both front seats. And of course, this magnificent screen. That is just fabulous, though it is a touch screen, and I would like it to be set forward. Otherwise, you have to use this dial down here. The thing is, if you try and use these buttons up here while you're moving, David, just try and do that for me. You've got to lean a long way forward. You'll see how far forward David had to lean. That's not practical out on the road. We've got a 360-degree view camera, and it's a proper one, though I did notice yesterday that there was a bollard that I could see there but wasn't on that. Nice pickup
Oh, yeah.
from the 208 kilowatt engine. It's an 8-speed automatic, which I think is incredibly smooth.
It's got that sort of prestige surge to it.
It does. It does feel, well, you know, with over 5, I think anything over 400 newton meters really is enough to be going on with. Once you start to get over 5, I'm not sure you need much more than that.
588, in fact, it says.
Indeed. Very easy steering, easy cornering. Now, of course, this is in comfort mode.
Ah.
Okay, David, I'll put you in sport.
In Eco, it felt very flat, you know, like you have to really push the accelerator.
That's not a word we use, David. We use luxurious. It is luxurious. Now that you're in sport mode going around this roundabout, as you come out of the roundabout, it feels a little more lively.
The throttle response is much better.
The other thing, of course, as I said, is that this does have the terrain modes, should you want to go off-road. Now, I can't really see you taking this off-road. 20-inch wheels, you know, I don't think it's going to be all that great.
A graded dirt road would be as adventurous as I would like to come.
Well,
with
maybe,
this.
well, you raise a good point. There's a lot of those certainly on your road trips. Heading out west, for example, a lot of those roads are impassable perhaps at the moment because we've had, you know, so much rain. First of all, you have the lane departure warning on, but there's a little steering wheel key. Dave, now you've got lane trace assist, and that keeps you roughly centered in the middle of the lane. I actually found that quite good.
I think the Koreans are much better than some other brands, not mentioning any Toyotas.
How's your sound? Is this acceptable to you without the active noise cancelling?
We're on the poor quality, well, lots of join motorway, and I think that's very good.
We bring you on this to test how bad it really is.
And you're not getting, you can hear the boom, 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 but it's not a intrusive sound to it.
And you can feel it very remotely through the seat of your pants, but it is by no means, if I put it into comfort, it's even more comfortable. Now imagine that you're being chauffeured along, and you could see these as hire cars, definitely. You're being chauffeured along. You want a nice, gentle acceleration and a luxurious ride, and that's what you get with a very, very, well, lightish steering.
Well, it could be used in that chauffeur mode, particularly the sort of executive vehicle to get to the airport. You know,
that kind of thing, exactly, yeah. But of course, if you were going to take 5 people, you'd probably need to have one of those trailers in tow, because although the luggage space is quite good, it's a little bit light on for 5 large suitcases. Now, you noticed over the bumps just then, David, that was quite firm. I noticed that in the bends earlier in the week, it certainly felt, you can feel the suspension change under you. And I wonder, with all of these cars with active suspension, now suspension, as you know, does wear out, I wonder how much that is to replace.
Undoubtedly, the more complex the system, the more potential for expensive repairs or higher cost repairs.
Well, you know, I had an old mid-80 Mazda 929 with adjustable suspension, nowhere near as complex as this. And even back then, it was $1,000 a corner.
Right.
So to wrap up, David, I think this is extremely elegant. I think the diesel, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I think it's my pick.
Okay, it's had a great year last year in percentage terms, but it was starting on very, very small numbers. And of course, they'd come and gone from the market. I think Genesis is now rather proud of the fact that in some months I think it's outsold Jaguar. I think that's its target, one of its targets, and I think it's in a pretty good position to do it.
So I think it's definitely a tick on my box. I'd actually buy one of these with my own money if I was in the market for a premium SUV. But I think Genesis generally is one of those brands that's very much underrated. I think you should go and check it out. Meanwhile, hit like,
Leave a comment.
and just over there to subscribe.